No,
Oh,
but I think
yeah.
that's a good point, because what you're essentially saying is that there are two
Mm-hmm.
sides to that
Mm-hmm.
coin of A, the mountains, B,
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
raging ocean and rivers,
Mm-hmm.
and even with animals like horses. It's like
Yeah.
you
Right.
have to know how to look at both,
Yeah.
because then there's that whole beauty that you can finally appreciate it.
Right. Right. When you know how to respond.
Yes, and
Yeah.
respect it too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So when you know how to like respond respectfully, and then it's like a dance, it's really fun. And
That's
so
a good way of putting it, a dance. Yeah. When the ocean steps on your shoes, it's not very pretty.
I
Hi,
was screaming.
everybody. This
Hello.
is JoJo. Her full name is Johanna. What's your last name, actually?
Schmidt.
Schmidt. Johanna Schmidt. She
Mhm.
lives here in Kirkland currently, but where is your hometown exactly?
Marysville,
Marysville.
Washington.
Born and raised.
Raised, yeah,
Raised. Where were you
raised.
born?
The Bay Area, California.
The Bay of California. Wait, this is the first time I've heard of
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
How many years did you live at the
Like I was a
Bay?
baby when we moved,
Oh, okay.
but
Okay.
the hippie, crunchy, health nut culture is still with me today. So.
Nice, nice.
Mhm.
Well, we met at Beyond, and
Mhm.
do you want to give people just a little rundown of what Beyond was in like your own words?
Like the whole beyond what
Yeah,
it is.
like that, and maybe just a little bit of like your experience as well.
Oh yeah. So Beyond. I heard about Beyond. Well, going back, rewind back to like 2021. I had gotten involved with an outdoor adventure ministry camp, and I was so excited because I felt like the Lord was calling me to do outdoor adventure things, and I wanted to do it with ministry. And so I had come across this one ministry called Youth Dynamic Stonewater.
Mm-hmm.
And then I signed up as a summer staff there. And then lo and behold, our staffing manager at Stonewater said, "Hey, we're going to team up with Beyond Mellow." I was like, "Sure." I don't know what that is. Then come to find out, it was like a Young Life camp, but even more niche than a Young Life camp. It was like Adventure Ministry Young Life camp.
Yeah.
And it was also right next to Malibu,
Mm-hmm.
where my dad worked at Malibu, and my
Oh,
mom had worked with this other camp that was involved with Stonewater.
nice,
So
nice.
it was kind of a weird, like, it was like the perfect mix of like what I had heard
Mm-hmm.
growing up, what my parents did
Yeah.
as young adults for ministry. And so I had like met in the middle,
Mm-hmm.
unaware, like, oh my gosh, this is my parents' two cultures of ministry and outdoor adventures. And yeah, it combined. So we worked with Beyond Malibu in 2021, and there were more Beyond Malibu staff there
Mm-hmm.
than just like pure summer staff for the Stoner camp. So I
Yeah.
fell in love with the culture of Beyond Malibu, or the people that were there. And so I did another year with Stonewater, and then I decided, I was like, I really I want to seize the opportunity to go to Beyond Malibu, and yeah, I did. But
So,
I don't know if that answers your original question, but that's how I
yeah,
came to
yeah.
Beyond.
How you came to know of Beyond?
Mm-hmm.
When did your dad work at Malibu? What year was that?
I think 1993.
Okay, okay.
I think it was like he was a Young Life leader, and then he did workroom.
I see.
Yep,
Nice.
yep,
But never did Beyond, just Malibu.
yep. I didn't even hear about Beyond. He never like told me about it, so
Hmm.
I don't think like it left too much of a influence on him.
Yeah.
So yeah,
And so where did your parents meet? I mean, your mom was doing like adventure stuff and your father was with Young Life. Is
yeah,
that kind of how that
yeah.
was
He was a Young
going?
Life leader, and they were set up on a blind date. My aunt, or she wasn't my aunt then, but she heard that my mom was doing adventure ministry in Leavenworth.
Yeah.
And she was like, "Oh my gosh, that you remind me of my boyfriend's brother," which now is her brother-in-law.
Hmm.
So they had that in common, and then they were set up on a blind date because of that.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
That's
right?
amazing.
I
And did they
know.
just like hit it off?
No.
No? It was rocky? Or
I don't
what?
know. I think my dad wasn't himself. He was like super nervous. So he had
Oh,
other people
oh.
speak on behalf of like what he's actually like because he was just
Wow.
shy,
Wow,
and he's not a shy guy normally.
quite the intro. Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
It's like everything to do with me and nothing to do with me all at the same time.
Yeah, yeah. That's pretty cool though. Wow. And
Mm-hmm.
how long have your parents been married for?
Almost 25 years.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
It's almost as old as I
Going strong.
am. So
uh,
your time at Beyond, what was
mhm.
that like?
Oh my gosh. It was a lot of things because I bit off a lot. Yeah, also to kind of like rewind just a little bit.
Mm,
My process of going to Beyond, I had decided in October of 2022. I was like, yeah, I think I want to do Beyond.
mm,
Um then meanwhile I'm also doing cross country at my community college. And so um I I had been in contact with Kelly, the Beyond director, about getting involved and like what position I want to apply for and what that would look like. And then I had decided in December, I was like, you know what? I think I'm going to do track instead
mm.
of doing Beyond because those two won't coincide with the schedule. Um, but then track fell through. And so like God closed that door. And then I decided, you know what? I think I should do Beyond. And so I did. And then
Mm.
to go back to your original question, what was it like doing Beyond?
Yeah, like
Yeah.
what you did
What
specifically.
did I do?
Yeah.
Okay, so I thought I was going to be a hybrid. I came in originally with the mindset that I was going to do like the mountain program.
Yeah.
And then they asked like, "Oh, there's kayaking positions available, so like we need help." And then I was on a walk and I was like, oh, Lord, I like love the Puget Sound and water, and I've been praying. I like had just taken marine biology,
Mm-hmm.
and I'd been praying for ways to get involved with the water.
Yeah.
And so I was like,
Even there at Egmont, the dock is like it's beautiful.
it's really
It's
beautiful.
awesome.
And my dad's been fishing in Canada for like 15 years. And so I was like, I don't want to go on his fishing trips, but I like
Yeah.
want to experience
You want
the,
your own adventure.
yeah, exactly. I
Yeah.
want the Canadian waters in my own.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
I get that.
yeah,
Yeah.
so I did. And I said yes. And I'm really glad I did because it turns out it was exactly where God wanted me to be.
Mm-hmm.
And then my experience of Beyond, there was like so many things.
Yeah.
There's so many things. Like,
it was quite a
because
interesting
yeah, I get
start.
there. I'm graduating with my associates online
Mm-hmm.
in Egmont, and yeah, I bit off a lot, but that's okay. Yeah, but I guess I could. Okay, then the story doesn't end. But like, I finished my school. Wow,
Mm-hmm.
like that first week, the first years are doing first aid,
Yeah.
and it's first aid training, and it's an intense like 8 hour a day
Mm-hmm.
training. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's pretty demanding, I'd say. And then
Had
then
you
like
had you done any
had,
wilderness
yeah, I got my wilderness first responder.
with Stonewater? I'm assuming.
Yeah, so I
Okay.
had different like company, but like pretty much the same
Yeah.
certification. So um I'd done it before, barely passed, and then I was doing it again, and then also like doing school, like I don't know, finishing assignments
Mm-hmm.
instead of studying the material of the first aid training. So I did both, but then I got sick for the mountain training and
Yeah.
had to like prayerfully consider not going on the mountain 10-day training.
Mm-hmm.
But I think God used it for the best because the kayaking program was amazing and I was really grateful to be a part of it.
Had you ever kayaked before? I'm assuming maybe in Stonewater or no?
Yeah, I did whitewater kayaking, not a ton, but just a little bit here and there. And
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I wasn't really, I had like fallen out in a rapid
Mm-hmm.
kayaking, and I just like that happens, but also like my foot, it like touched a rock and that just like scared me.
Yeah. It wasn't the best experience.
No, and like some people do it and they're like totally chill.
Yeah.
But I like to breathe. So,
Yeah.
um,
No, I completely understand. I mean,
yeah.
as and because I would say even for myself, like I'm not so much of a water guy too much, which is really
Hmm.
interesting because I'm trying to get into scuba diving. But it's like
Yeah.
I've been in that situation where it's different to be in the water. It's not natural
Yeah.
at all, and
Yeah.
you're not entirely comfortable when you start out. And I would say most people aren't
Right.
comfortable,
Right.
and especially if something like that were to happen.
Yeah. And whitewater too, I think it's because there's like in the mountains you can control your speed.
Hmm.
Whereas like in a river, the speed of the river,
Unforgiving.
there's only so much you can do. So
Yeah.
it's unforgiving. I mean, there's ways you can like work with the river,
Hmm.
but you can't really fight it.
No, at all.
Right, you can't fight it at
At
all.
all.
So anyway, all that to say was, I love water, but I also was upfront with the director in the beginning. I was like, okay, I love water. I do not like whitewater, so like
Yeah.
I was just trusting that it wouldn't be that
Yeah.
way.
Being at the mercy of the mountain is different than being at the mercy of a raging river or a raging
Yeah,
ocean for that matter.
yeah,
And
yeah,
uh, I, I mean, I
mhm,
had an experience where I'd almost drowned before
yeah,
in a lake out in Colorado, and
yeah,
when that had happened, my body still felt the physical panic
yeah.
long after that experience. And it took
Mhm,
me a while of reintroducing the water, the ocean, the waves for me to be able to get to a comfortable spot of like, okay,
mhm,
I'm not panicking right now. Like this is good. I can keep myself afloat. But
mhm.
it's the sea is a monstrous place, and just any type of water as
Yeah.
like that is it can be a monstrous place.
Mhm.
Um, so what were your trips like? I mean, give me some like high and
Yeah.
lows. Like what
Highs
was it
and
like?
lows. Okay. Well, I kind of want to go back and just like
Yeah, yeah.
after us talking about like oh the sea is like scary. It can be, but in a weird way like I had also had experience with horses.
Mm,
And so the same way that horses can be like beautiful and like powerful and
mm,
threatening, they can
yeah,
also be like calming, therapeutic,
yeah,
peaceful,
yeah.
and connecting. And it was that same way with kayaking. So that like that balance of like being uncomfortable and being comfortable in the kayak with the
Mm,
water, um, because the water is slightly like more predictable than a horse. A horse has a brain and it has behavior that you can influence, but you can't technically control it.
yeah.
You know, you can try and like tame it,
Mm-hmm.
but you can't really like tame an ocean, but you can, you know, like water usually acts the same everywhere. So anyway, that was kind of like my boring little tangent, but
No,
oh, that's
but I think
yeah.
that's a good point because what you're essentially saying is that there are two
Mm-hmm.
sides to that
Mm-hmm.
coin of A, the mountains, B,
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
raging ocean and rivers,
Mm-hmm.
and even with animals like horses. It's like
Yeah.
you
Right.
have to know how to look at both
Yeah.
because then there's that whole beauty that you can finally appreciate it.
Right. Right. When you know how to respond.
Yes, and
Yeah.
respect it too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So when you know how to like respond respectfully and then it's like a dance, it's really fun.
Mm,
And
that's
so
a good way of putting it, a dance. Yeah. When the ocean steps on your shoes, it's not very pretty.
yeah. Yeah. But you get used to it and you get strong toes. No. But yeah, our trips were really good. Considering at least for me,
Hmm.
I had done like pretty much only girl trips with horses in the past, and it just so happened that with kayaking I was only on girl trips again.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and I also did feel like um I do feel like God has given me a heart to work with young girls because I just
Mm.
remember I don't know, it wasn't that long ago as one of them, so
Yeah. Have you
yeah.
ever worked with young boys as well?
A little bit, but like in terms of like mentoring them,
Mm. Not
not
as much as
really.
not as much as women, or maybe not at all, or
Oh, like working with in terms of like spiritual discipling.
yeah.
Yeah, I like I'm friends with guys and like I can still teach them, but I think
Hmm.
I do my best I feel like God uses me the best for ministry when I'm with girls. And I think there's also a special dynamic of just like girls on girls camp trips. I think there's
Same thing with like the
yeah,
Beyond Mountain trips. It's like
yeah.
there's a really interesting dynamic when you have men and women on the same trip, and
Mhm.
um,
And it's fun. Like it can be really fun.
it can be an awesome
Yeah.
experience. However, when it's just men or just girls, there's a
Yeah.
different
There's a
dynamic.
deeper level of ministry I've experienced.
Mm,
Um but it's a different dynamic like on our training, it's co-ed, it's really fun.
yeah,
And I'm so grateful to have the guys there. Like it's really nice
yeah,
because sometimes when I'm on those 6-day girl trips, I'm like too much feminine energy, too much.
yeah,
so,
yeah.
so, so,
It's so
but it's
funny
so good.
because with the guide trips, it's like there's not enough masculine energy. It's like like
Oh, I was like, I think there's enough. No, I'm kidding.
for us guys, I think we have, in general, obviously there are outliers,
Mm-hmm.
but I think we feed off of each other
Yes.
when it comes to the extremes of that.
Yeah.
And I think that we just have, between the men and the women, we feed on off of it differently. And so,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Um. Yeah. I kind of don't know where to go off of that, but
Going back to the kayaking trips with your
yeah. How
at
did they
Beyond.
go? It was good. I'm trying to remember my first trip. Wow, kind of a blur now.
What stands out to you like the most of
Yeah.
those kayaking trips?
What stands out to me the most? Um, being calm for your campers
Mm-hmm.
when the waves are like kicking up.
Yeah.
Because you like don't know. Like also you want to time it so that like if you're doing a crossing against like a body of water, and the wind kicks up, like we had a really sunny summer, which was awesome. But that meant there was like a lot of wind in the afternoons.
Mm.
So what stood out to me is like just peacefully guiding your campers through waves
Mm.
and just saying like, okay, like just keep keep your hips loose and
Mm-hmm.
just keep paddling. Yeah. So that stands out to me.
I heard the way that you go to the bathroom on a kayak is different than on on the mountains.
Yes.
Like,
Well, okay, the goal is to like not have to go off the side of the kayak.
of course.
Yes.
Yeah.
And like, I could go into the anatomy of the like, there's differences on how you can do it.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I don't think the viewers really need to kind of
I mean, we all get it. You know what I
yes.
mean? Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Yes. You just have to come on to Beyond kayaking
and
trip.
experience it yourself. Yeah. And I think that's a really good way to put it, because
Yeah.
even in the mountains, um, a lot of the way that you do your regular mundane things like cooking, going to the bathroom, even just trying to sleep, like it's all just very different, and it's hard to really, we can like describe it, but like you said, I think
Mhm.
experiencing it is
Yeah.
much more.
Yeah, just like, get on a floaty, go out to your lake and decide like I'm going to go to the bathroom, but I can't touch the water. And there you go. That's it. Then you can figure it out.
There you go. Try that at home.
Like actually go try it out. I want to hear
Wow.
if people try that.
So, what was the spiritual content like?
Mm,
Because the way that you do, because we have trail talk. I don't know if
mhm.
you remember what that was,
Mhm.
but how do y'all do water talk,
Yeah.
if that's the
Yeah.
equivalent?
So normally like
Really quickly, and for those of you, trail
mhm.
talk, and what I mean by that is like how you say spiritual, or provide spiritual content on trail, and what that looks like. So,
Mhm.
how does it look like for the kayaking?
Yeah. Well, it varies, but normally we'd have a quiet time of like digging into the word. We give
Mm-hmm.
them a prompt, and then send them to just kind of go reflect on it. And then with that, it would usually kind of lead into a time of like reading the Bible together,
Mm-hmm.
discussing it. And then with like spiritual direction, I guess, with trips. It varies for each group
Yeah.
depending on like their leader, their young life leader, um, what their intent is, what's their age, what's their needs in life.
Hmm.
Because we had like one group of like all adult to like college age women, and then so their needs were a bit different than like we had a group of girls who were all just seniors in high school,
Yeah.
and so their dynamics were very different, and also their internal struggles, like everyone has struggles, but I think how they communicate them, how much
Hmm.
they want to communicate that was different. So yeah, but they were all so unique.
Mm.
I no trip is cookie cutter.
Yeah. You just have different levels of receptiveness, different levels of actual practice. And
And different dynamics,
yeah.
like I would never say like, oh, what's your like spiritual friendship, like how is that going with your friends, like how is that like
Hmm.
spiritual life, because it's different per person.
Yeah.
So
But not only that, having that conversation in a,
yeah.
especially especially in a formal sense, is really awkward at times. Like
Hmm.
in my experience, whenever we had the Bible studies and Bible discussions and things like that, there
Yeah.
was always this sense of like there's this awkwardness of
Hmm.
like it almost feels like a classroom. Like you
Hmm.
don't really want to participate. Sometimes
Hmm.
the people don't want to participate. Other times you have that one person that's participating and
Hmm.
kind of dominating the space. And so
Yeah.
when it comes to like those formal times,
Yeah.
it's really difficult to
Right.
have. And I personally like the informal when they like
Hmm.
come up organically.
Yeah, I think that's so true, like what you're saying is like having it be organic, and I'd say that's kind of what I came away with is like don't don't push it too much.
Yeah.
They're going to see the fruit of the spirit in your life,
Yeah.
and just make space. Make space. Lead by example. Don't force it. Plant seeds and just keep watering.
Yeah.
So,
I think the informal, like organic ways that you have conversation
mhm.
actually feeds into the formal types of
Mhm.
conversations, because if you try and do it in the reverse, there's like this awkward
Yeah.
startup. But when you do it in the informal way, there's this natural progression
Yeah.
of one topic to another, and then you keep talking,
Yeah.
and then when it finally gets to the Bible study discussion questions that everyone's
Mhm.
sitting around and having, it's like, hey,
Yeah.
there's a lot that I've already talked about and have
Right.
been able to process within the
Right.
hours that we've either been hiking or kayaking or
Right.
whatever.
Exactly. And like, I trust, that you want to have your own time with the Lord
Hmm.
because you're his son. Um, you're not gonna like, if that's an organic part of your life, it's gonna just organically flow into your day. And then
Yeah.
I think like they'll pick up on that.
Yeah.
And then if they see good fruit in your life, then they're gonna go, oh, I'm not being like force fed something that's like,
Hmm.
I'm going on a fun trip and I have to like listen to something, which, different maturities that will be received in that way. But like I think the goal is that they see like, oh, I'm seeing the chain reaction of God's goodness, whether it's in this person's life, in
Hmm.
creation, in the food we eat, just the little things, seeing like, oh, I'm seeing the connection back to God.
Yeah.
And so I'm gonna like want that.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, I completely agree. Uh,
Mm.
so, you would you say that your the spiritual life that you personally led, as well as maybe the spiritual lives or the lives that you were able to pour into spiritually,
Mm.
overall, it went really well for you? Would you say
I'd
that?
say it did. I'll be honest, like on trips, sometimes priority was just like kind of like Maslow's hierarchy of needs.
Yeah.
Um it was just kind of like we couldn't really focus on like the spiritual content if like the physical content of the trip was lacking, because
Yeah.
it's like you know
It's kind of hard to think about.
Yeah.
what you're gonna have later for Bible study when it's just
Right.
dumping rain and then like the waves are
Right.
just crashing on you. It's like,
Yeah, so like just making sure that like they're just taking care of them was a
hmm
big thing.
yeah,
And then when the opportunity presents itself, whether like good weather or a beautiful view or a delicious meal, just be like, thank you, God. Like, I know that
mm,
every good thing comes from you.
yeah,
Then it's not like, hey guys, did you know that like every good thing comes from God and like he's the one that gave you this meal? Not that that's a bad thing to say, but the direction of that is a little different. One is just like stating something, and one is like kind of force feeding it.
yeah. Like the
Um,
execution is just not
mm-hmm,
well at all. Like you might have some pretty good intentions, but
mm-hmm,
it can just fall on deaf ears when
right,
there are other things. Like I think there are just other ways of going about it that can be much more effective. And
mm-hmm,
for you, like your example, like even just taking care of their needs is an act
mm-hmm,
of love, an act of
mm-hmm,
service. And I
right,
think that when you do that, they just tend to like it pops to them much more because
mm-hmm.
that's what they need in that moment.
Right. Right. And so like I definitely didn't execute that perfectly, but nor was I supposed to, like
hmm
we're people. So it was just um it was just nice to like love on these girls and spend life with them and
hmm
go on these extremely unique situation like trips
Yeah.
with them. So there was a bond that was developed and
Mhm.
yeah, it was cool.
Nice. Going
Mm-hmm.
into this next year, what are your hopes?
My hopes.
Yeah.
I'll be honest, I like kind of think about it every now and again,
hmm
but I honestly don't try and overwhelm myself with it too much because it is a bit of a whirlwind of a season once like or at least it was last year for me.
Yeah.
So I just trying to stay present where I am right now. Um but yeah, I keep giving it back to God and my hopes are God's will.
Hmm.
So that's really vague and open, but that's kind of like I
Yeah.
have so much on my plate right now that
You're just trying to take one thing
yeah,
at
one
a
thing at
time.
a time. And I think that's a kind of a yeah, I do my best that way. I'm not a good multitasker, so
Hmm.
mhm.
Is there anything that any feedback about um, beyond that in your head is like maybe even well, I guess because you only did the kayaking, maybe
Mhm.
specifically for kayaking because there was a lot of feedback uh, that I would say beyond we've given and it could use, and that's always kind of
Mm.
like a um, it's always going to be a thing where it can improve. And
Mhm.
so, is there anything on the kayaking side that you think like it could be better in this
Yeah.
particular way, or if this was done in
Yeah.
this manner?
I could, but it's also like getting back in the swing of things after uh like last year, I don't know how many trips they had, but it's like coming back after being kind of dormant for a while
Yeah,
and the leadership is new and graciously taking on the role. So there's
yeah,
nothing I'd say like, oh, this could be better and that could be better. I'd say it's like, there's just a lot of kinks that are getting worked out and organization and all that stuff is just gonna like come with time and
yeah.
with leadership and more experience.
hmm
So yeah, I'd
So,
say
so after Beyond has had maybe a few years to really get into the groove of things, and
yeah, just little things that like this last year has already helped just getting the the storage garage for
oh, I
kayaking
saw
organ.
that.
Yeah, just like stuff like that. So it's just kind of like, when someone's got a messy room, you're
Yeah.
not gonna be like, hey, you should clean that up. But like once you do, you're like, yeah, we're just gonna
Hmm.
continue to this growth mindset.
Yeah, it's our
Mm-hmm.
space. It's our home. Like we gotta
Mm-hmm.
make sure it
Yeah. So
runs.
like I really don't want to like give any criticism to it because I
Yeah.
think it's just gonna keep up this good pattern and culture of
Hmm.
stewardship. Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Yeah, that's cool.
Mm-hmm.
You talked about horses earlier. How did you get introduced to horse riding, or is that what you do, like
Yeah,
horse riding?
or
Yeah,
not currently,
but
but
you did. You did.
yeah, when I was 9, I like love. Okay, I love keeping things alive. Um,
It's a pretty good attitude to have.
yeah,
Yeah.
but I love food or plants or
hmm
animals, and I don't know. I don't like geek out too much about those things, but when I am given the responsibility of storing them, I really like to like do my best and keep them alive. And yeah, it's really fun to like uh, nurture the needs.
Mm.
So with horses, when I was like 9, I really wanted a pet, and I think like the closest thing I had was a fish. And I lived in a tiny house with like sharing a room with 3 siblings,
Yeah.
so it was tight. But I really wanted to ride a horse. We went to the fair. I saw like these rodeo queens riding by, and I was like, I just want to be them. And so I prayed when I was 9.
Wait, rodeo queen.
Like if you go to the fair, you know how there's like rodeos,
Okay.
and then there's like rodeo queen, like basically like a beauty pageant rodeo lady.
Oh,
Yes.
okay.
So I saw
Wow.
them and I was like, I want to be them.
Nice, nice.
And so I prayed. And then my aunt heard that I liked horses. My aunt, meaning my dad's cousin, but
Hmm.
she lived like 4 minutes away from where we live.
Yeah.
And so she's like, hey, I have an extra horse. Would Johanna want to like ride it? I was like,
Mm.
yeah, I would. Yeah, yeah, I would.
Please, please, please.
Yeah, so they so graciously like I would pay for hay and then sometimes like vet bills, but otherwise they let me use all their materials. And um I got to be in 4-H and do like competitive Western gaming with them for like 5 years.
Competitive Western gaming.
Yeah, it's like this weird. It's like the in 4-H, I guess it's like the events that they do at rodeo.
Okay.
Like if you see women rodeo riding, like I did that.
Okay,
So
okay. And are they like, I don't know
yeah.
at all and anything about this, but is it
Mhm.
like the, because I've seen a few things where like they
Mhm.
jump over like the high bars.
So I think that's equestrian jumping, but
Okay, great.
like there's like some, yeah, no, totally great
A-
question.
Equestrian jumping?
Yeah, I could be wrong, but there's like English jumping,
Okay.
and so like there's like English and Western style riding,
Hmm.
and I did Western because they did Western and they had all that stuff, which was great.
Hmm.
And I got to wear like a nice little 10-gallon hat. Oh my gosh, it was fun. I yeah,
Mm,
it was a good time,
yeah.
and I did it, and it was scary at times because I like don't I'm not an adrenaline junkie, and here I was like
Mm,
going super fast on the back of this horse, and I'm like, how did I get here? But
yeah.
it was really fun,
That's
and
awesome.
yeah, I think God got me comfortable with the uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's amazing. So do you have a horse now still,
Mm-mm.
or
No, I'm a college
or
student.
or one waiting back
I'm
at
broke.
home maybe?
Nope, nope. No, that horse is long gone. But
Mm,
yeah, sometimes if I'm home, like my aunt would have me like feed their horses when they're on vacation, which for me was like awesome.
yeah.
But it'll be a while before I could afford a horse or anything like that. I'm
Mm.
yeah, one day maybe a dog. Yeah,
Start. You were blessed with the horse. It's funny because
yeah,
from fish to horse,
fish
you're
to
like,
horse.
okay, gotta
Yeah,
progress up to
yeah,
that.
yeah. Just like boom.
Nice. What color was your horse, or the horse that you were taking care
It
of?
was a white Arabian. Yep. It was pretty awesome.
Wow.
I know. I was like, it was so cute too.
Yeah. I'm sorry. I don't really know the. Is it just like a pure white
Yeah, he was like a pure white.
horse?
He was so cute.
Wow. That's
He was so
awesome.
cute.
The camp in Colorado, the Young Life Camp,
Mm-hmm.
Crooked Creek, has a horse
Mm-hmm.
section activity for
Oh
people to
yeah.
ride horses, and that was my first time ever getting on a horse.
Yeah.
And obviously, well, at the camp they have like the novice horses that are
Mm-hmm.
really broken in,
Mm-hmm.
and is there a better way of saying that? Broken in, or
Trained?
trained? Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that's
Yeah.
probably a better way of saying that.
Yeah.
They're more trained,
Mm-hmm.
and then there are the ones that are more novicely trained, like not as much yet. And I
Yeah.
think they gave me the novicely trained one,
Nice.
but it was cool going up the mountain on
Yeah.
a horse.
Yeah.
And there was a horse in front of me called Babylon, and Babylon was like, uh, is 500 pounds huge for a horse?
Okay.
Like, what's weight size? What's like a really heavy horse?
You know, I'm not quite as briefed up on average horse weights at the moment, but I want to say the horse I rode, like, honestly, I can't tell you right now.
Gotcha. But
Like,
anyways,
yeah.
it was a huge horse because the
Hmm.
person on it was like 300 pounds. So
Yeah.
like it was a really huge horse, and that horse
Wow.
almost the entire time was just
Good job modeling.
farting
Yeah.
in front of me, and I was like, "You're joking!" Like I'm on this
Yeah.
majestic creature, and the majestic creature in front of me
Hey,
is just letting it rip.
everyone does it.
Yeah.
Everyone does it. Don't let them convince you that they don't do it. Everyone does it.
And then towards the
It's
end,
natural. It's wonderful.
yeah. Towards the end, I was able to like gallop him just for like a split second
Yeah.
before the main head instructor was like, "Hey, stop it!" And I was like, "Okay, sorry."
Yeah.
But like that brief moment of really riding it and
Hmm.
really going, like it was exhilarating. It's
It's so
awesome.
fun. I
Yeah.
really miss it now that you're saying this. I'm like, ah, because I would have been doing that this past summer if I wasn't kayaking. So
Mm,
it's been now a hot minute since I've been on a horse, and it's bittersweet. Yeah,
yeah.
but that's okay. Hmm.
What is maintaining horses like? Is that difficult?
Mm, good
Like,
question. Well, not a horse expert, but depends on like I don't know. Taking care of horses pretty much like having a kid. So like I don't know, the way like there's some core things like food,
mhm,
water, shelter, but like how you go about, healthcare for horses and your like tack supplies and things like that can be super like individualized, I guess, or individual,
yeah.
but like yeah, I'd say it's about as unique sometimes as like caring for a kid. So, you
Mhm.
know,
Would you say like there's a general skeleton, but then like the nitty gritty is
I think so. Yeah,
kind of
I'd
like
say
just
like most
changes?
owners, give their horses vaccines,
Mhm,
maybe give their horses shoes. Some places don't give their horses shoes.
mhm,
Um, trying to think the type of hay that they use, maybe
yeah,
supplements. Um, yeah, I don't know. That's
mhm.
kind of some stuff that, yeah,
That's cool.
I'm not an expert on, but I want to learn more about it.
So
Mhm.
hopefully you'll have your own horse in the future, or at least work your way up to
Yeah,
that.
but yeah, ideally, I get to like care for someone else's horse so that on vacation I don't have to pay someone to
This,
watch my
yeah,
horse.
that would work.
Isn't that
Yeah,
good? Yeah.
yeah.
So,
Smart way of working about it. Yeah.
yeah,
Get
that's
paid
the hope.
and work with a horse?
Yeah, or
Heck
like
yeah.
yeah, so I don't have to be the one to pay every time I leave
Yeah.
because it's a lot
Mm,
responsibility. Hmm.
I bet there was a horse that was being auctioned off that I saw on YouTube recently, and I think it
Hmm.
went for like $280,000.
Yeah, yeah, I get it. Hmm.
How much do they cost in general?
I don't know. Okay, so like my cousin bought a horse for 10 grand, and I think that was like a good horse for them. So I'd say
$280,000 horses.
like cars. They're like cars. I'd
Yeah.
say like, depending.
I'm assuming,
Yeah.
especially if it's a racing horse, I'm sure
Yeah,
they're
yeah,
mad
like a
expensive.
luxury horse, like really like it can get really expensive. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Would you ever want to race like that?
No,
No.
no.
Oh, not the adrenaline junkie.
No,
You just
I already did my horse racing and I was like, I'm done.
yeah.
It's fun to go fast, but like I don't want to.
What about just going fast to be like free fast, like out in the field? Like if you just
That
like
sounds really fun. I would
yeah,
love to do that. My only fear would be like if there's a pothole or something I don't see and then
yeah,
I go flying.
something to watch out for.
Yeah. Yep. You go
Mm,
pew. Yeah.
wow.
Hmm.
Well, Jojo, thank you
Oh, you're welcome.
for being on this
Yes,
podcast.
my pleasure.
Unless you have anything else that you would like to talk about,
Mm.
ask or say.
Okay. You got to hear about my childhood hobby. What was Isaiah's childhood hobby?
Oh man,
See?
we already talked about this earlier a little
But
bit.
did we?
Oh, yeah, we did actually. Not in the way that you think though. So when I was younger,
Mm-hmm.
my uncle, um, so he introduced me to anime, and So I grew up watching anime. Dragon Ball Z was like the main
Yes.
thing. Cartoon Network. It was like
Mhm.
Dragon Ball Z, Naruto, and so
Mhm.
uh, fighting anime, and that really like it was really cool to like watch that. But then
Mhm.
I started getting into martial arts. I did kung
Mm.
fu when
Mhm.
I was in elementary school, and I really liked that. I was a really sporty person already,
Yeah.
as is, um, and doing kung fu was pretty cool because the way that you move your body, especially in combat, and a lot of people have an aversion to being physical like that with someone. I don't. I get it, but I think there's a huge misunderstanding behind it to use that level of. A lot of people will use the word violence. It's when you're fighting someone in just the way that we
Mhm.
communicate with our verbal language, we also talk about body language, how you stand, how you sit, how you present yourself.
Mhm.
If how you stand or sit, we put a lot of emphasis on,
Mhm.
how much more emphasis do you think it is when someone is in physical confrontation with you? Something like combat sports, like martial
Mhm.
arts, it's a conversation.
Yeah.
When you're fighting, you're talking. When you're hitting, when you're
Yeah.
landing blows, when you're getting in locks, if you could be teaching, you could be discussing, you could be arguing, like,
Mm.
and it's just like talking. Now, of course, there's a very huge difference. One is physical, the other is
Mhm.
just verbal, but
Yeah.
it shares the exact same principles of a conversation. And so I really love martial arts. I love fighting.
Yeah.
I watched a lot of fighting shows, anime.
Mhm.
I've played a lot of fighting video games, and it's like combat has been a really cool way to not only relieve stress, because it's a huge stress relief as well to be physical like that, kind of like how
Mm.
you run. I'm sure to a
Mhm.
degree, like it's
Yep.
stress
The
relieving.
endorphins are great.
Exactly.
Yes.
But when you get to do that, when you confront someone else and you're fighting, and things are connecting, and you feel, I don't know if there's a word for this, but I use the expression like when I get into the flow, and
Yeah.
like um, my mind is just moving. It's seeing and reacting. When I get into that state, it's like, oh,
Mhm.
I'm in the groove. It's almost like meditation.
Yeah.
Like there's nothing other than this
Yep.
moment in what I'm doing. And this
Yeah.
person right in front of me is trying to take me down. I'm trying to take him down, and it's pure uh it's a it's pure intention.
Mhm.
Um and I That's something that I did as
Yeah.
a kid, and there's a lot of things that fed into that, but I really love doing that, and I'm actually going to go see Taylor, who you know, and he's been doing Brazilian jiu-jitsu,
Oh.
and so when I see him, we're going to roll,
Oh, have
and
fun.
that's going to be awesome. I love it whenever I meet someone who can just on the spot, like, dude, let's throw it down right now. It's like, yes, let's do it, let's go. Like, I love that. I really love that.
Yeah.
I did that with John. I don't know if you know who John is. Big John, from Malibu. He's like a wildland firefighter. He
Okay.
works up in Yukon, but you probably don't
Yeah.
know him. Essentially, when I met him,
Mhm.
he was talking with Taylor,
Mhm.
and I come up to him, and Taylor, he goes, no, I introduced myself. Hi, I'm Isaiah. And I was like, oh,
Yeah.
you're the one Taylor was talking about. And I was like, oh, yeah. You know, they had already had a good relationship. They were talking.
Mhm.
And then I was looking at him. This guy's 6'6", 6'7", huge, massive individual. And I'm looking at him, and then I go, hey, I know this is really up front, but do you want to wrestle like right now? And he's like, yeah, let's do it.
Yeah.
And everyone is there. Everyone is there on the Red House
Yeah.
porch, and we do it on the side of the Red House porch. We're just rolling and wrestling and brawling. And his dog, his canine dog, is there, and he's getting in on the action too. He's like on top of me too, and it's so funny because this dog's like trying to roll and wrestle with me, and we're just trying to do it between each
Uh,
other,
yeah.
it was just a beautiful moment of when there's no
Mhm.
ulterior 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 I
Yeah,
can't
ulterior.
ulterior motive.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
I think that yeah, I think you got it.
When
Yeah.
there's no ulterior motive
Mhm.
like that, and it's pure intention,
Yep.
and it's not trying to one up each other, but
Yep,
it's
just
just
pure sport.
pure sport,
Mhm.
and all of me takes on all of you.
Yep.
I love that.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
competition's awesome.
It's great. Awesome.
Yeah.
And people beat down on competition. It's like, no, competition is beautiful and wonderful.
Yep.
Just like how we were saying earlier, there's two sides to everything. There's two sides to
Yeah.
competition.
Yep.
And there's the
Totally.
really toxic, and then there's the uplifting,
Yeah.
growing,
Right.
and you need that. I think
Yep.
everyone needs competition in their life.
Yeah, growth is competition breeds growth. So
Yeah.
super good. Okay, I think that's like my main question I had. What's up? No.
I mean, what's up? I'll go sleep outside again in
Okay.
the woods. This will be the last night I sleep. Well, not the last night in
Yeah.
this trip, but for here.
Okay.
Tomorrow I'm going to Leon.
Okay.
And I'll see
Yeah?
him. We'll go. Apparently, we're going
Portland
to a
area?
cave. Yeah,
Oh,
like an hour away
that's
from
so
Portland.
cool.
Yeah, so that'll be awesome.
Have a good time.
Yeah.
Have a good time in a
Yeah.
cave. Do you get to sleep in the cave or?
Oh, we'll see. Have you been spelunking before?
No, I have not.
I would highly recommend that. And a place that I would highly recommend
Yeah.
it is Tennessee. Tennessee.
Yes.
This is what I got told when I went spelunking, but Tennessee has the most caves per capita
I believe it.
in all the U.S.
I believe
And it was awesome. We got down far enough where there well, I don't know, I guess the animal life, I'm not familiar with what's in there, but we saw salamanders, like a deep black blue.
Whoa.
a beautiful bright orange.
Woo.
Of course I didn't want to touch it because usually when they're that color it's like, oh, you're really bad to touch probably. But like it was really cool seeing life like that far deep underground. It was super cool.
Yes. I've been in my dorm too long. I have.
I don't blame you. It's super cold out here.
It's frigid.
Yeah.
I like the outdoors, but I love a good warm bed. So
yeah, that's why when I choose to continue my outdoor pursuit, that's why I'm going into scuba diving, because there are beaches and I love being on beaches.
Amen, brother. Amen.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Hot weather, warm
Next time I
environment.
see you is on a sandals commercial.
Heck yeah. Heck yeah. I'll be on a sandals on a surfboard, just ripping it out there,
Like, is that a Zoom?
Yeah. I'll send you a picture of me sandals on a surfboard.
Sounds good. But you know what I'm talking about? Sandals resorts. You can look it up.
Okay. In my head, I was
Google
picturing just sandals on a beach on a surfboard.
Yeah.
Sandals resort. No.
You can Google it.
Gotcha.
Audience, Google it.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Where is that located?
I couldn't tell you. Probably like in the Bahamas or something.
Probably a place up.
It's like one of those American TV commercials, like "Come to Sandals."
Oh, I see. Gotcha.
Yeah. So.
Might go there one day.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Cool.
But thank you. I really appreciate that.
My pleasure.
Yeah. With that being said, thank you all again. I'll catch you here next time. See ya.
Bye.